Oh, there is no such thing as a normal week in the SEC anymore, is there? I'm pretty much fully convinced at this point that we are going to have things like this on a pretty regular basis. I do want to address this real fast before we go any further. For those of you that are listening, do you hear us? We have been having mic issues most of the week, and it has been pissing me off beyond belief. So I need you guys to do me a favor. If you're in the chat, give me a thumbs up or an okay or whatnot, and let me know if, hey, we are good before we continue any further. I'll give you guys about 20 seconds. Okay. All right. I think we're good. In fact, I just had a call. It went to voicemail. Whoops. That's my bad. Anyways, guys, we are live. This is the SEC Live show, the final whistle here at the Voice of College Football. I am your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Guys, thank you so much for hopping on in and just continuing to support us here at SEC Live at the Voice of College Football. I need you all to do me a favor. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button down below. Turn on those bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live here on SEC Live at the Voice of College Football. And speaking of the devil, we have a caller right now. You're on the phone with Lucas Hill. This is the final whistle here on SEC Live at the Voice of College Football. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking to?
Grant Austin.
Oh, good Lord. What's up, Grant?
How you doing, Lucas? You saw the game, the Miami and the Florida State game?
Jesus Christ, Miami's for real, dude.
I think they have a good shot at winning it all. Either that or Ohio State.
Guys, let me just be honest with you when it comes to Miami. I think that when we look at the rankings tomorrow morning, Miami should be the number one team in the nation when it is all said and done. I think that either them or Oregon will be number one tomorrow morning.
I think Ole Miss got a good chance of getting number 3, number 2 when they played. But
no, I think Ole Miss will stay at 4 because, I mean, if that's not the case, then it'll be Miami. This is my top 5 right now. I have Miami at 1, Ohio State at 2, Oregon at 3, Ole Miss at 4, and then I got I got Bama coming in at 5.
Ooh, okay. I got them at 6.
Who do you have at 5?
I got 5. I got Ole Miss, and then 4. That's still up for debate, but 3. I got Oregon. Number 2. I'm not sure on that one, but number 1 is either Ohio State or what's her name? Miami. I forgot the rankings. Give me 1 second. I want to look at the rankings real quick.
Okay. By the way, guys, this is one of my coworkers, and I've been knowing this kid for about 15 years at this point.
Okay, I got Alabama at number 3. I think
holy shoot.
Good. They look good against Vanderbilt. That's all I gotta say.
Hell yeah, they look good against Vanderbilt.
Oh yeah. I got Texas A&M coming at number 2. They blew the crap out of wasn't it Mississippi State?
Yes.
Yeah, they beat the crap out of Mississippi State. I got them at number 2.
Wow. A&M that high. Look, I'll be the first to admit I was very wrong about this weekend. I thought Mississippi State was going to go into the blackout and throw the football against this A&M secondary that had struggled greatly in pass defense. But this front seven got after Blake Shapen all night, and they had no answer. That's the bottom line. As crappy of a first half as it was for Texas A&M, this is not the Texas A&M of old. This is the Texas A&M that we can now look at and safely say that they are going to be a perennial contender for a college football playoff with the right hire as your head coach. That's what you have right now with Mike Elko.
Do you think Garrett Nussmeier's injury is more serious than it is?
Yes.
What do you think? Do you think he should get surgery and stay out?
It's his torso. Do I think that it's going to hinder him when it comes to him throwing the football? Absolutely. Do I think that they're not going to sit him, bro? I mean, I really, 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 really like Mike Van Buren.
Michael Van.
Yeah. And I like what he brings to the table. But at the end of the day, I don't, man. I just don't. Luke Miller's in the chat, by the way. If you guys didn't see on my Instagram story, my best bets for this week were god awful. I mean, if you bet on that, I mean, I'm sorry. Once again, I'm not a gambling expert. I had Texas minus 4.5. That didn't even come close. Vandy plus 12.5. I was so close to it being able to get covered until the last 30 freaking seconds, which pissed me off. Texas State is unable to even hold on against Arkansas State. Shout out Jalen Rayner, by the way. Mississippi State doesn't cover, and then Miami blows the water out of Florida State. So I went, 2-4? Or I went 2-3 today. Or no. No. You know what I went? I went freaking 1-4. So I was dog water today. So thank you, Luke, for reminding me about how bad I did today when it came to best bets. So,
hey, that's
but I mean, you can never ever dictate what's going to happen when it comes to a season like this. There's no such thing anymore as a normal week in college football.
Yeah, for sure. Because with all that NIL, it's literally changed the landscape of college football.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I'm all for it, but like when you're paying millions and millions of dollars for like kids of 18-year-olds, bro, it's insane. Like, you probably never see a dynasty like Alabama ever again.
No, that's what I mentioned this during the week. The era of the dynasty is about to end very soon because of how wide open the title race is nowadays.
Yeah. You think James Franklin's on the hot seat now?
No. Absolutely not.
Why do you say that?
You really think they're going to pay a $50+ million buyout for him? No.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah, his buyout's like $56.5 million or something like that. But, I mean, it's a horrible loss. Make no mistake about that. This is, what is it? What do they say? This is, if you want to know what rock bottom looks like for, what's his name? Penn State. This is it. You come off of a brutal loss in the whiteout against Oregon. Then you come back the next week, a team you're supposed to beat the piss out of in UCLA, going up against a quarterback who's not that good, with a with an interim head coach, and they put up a 40 ball on you. And you were supposed to have this electric defense that was supposed to be the know-all, be-all because of all the stars that you had returning in. Right now, Penn State's sitting there at 3-2, and the rest of the slate, it's not easy. You know, your early college football playoff, there's a lot of frauds right now in college football. Everybody that we thought going into the preseason, great. And I'm glad you're on here. I'm going to read you the preseason polls in the top 25. All the way back. So you had Texas number 1. Penn State was number 2. They're both 3-2 right now, and they're going to be out of the top 20.
Yeah.
Penn State may drop completely close to the out of the rankings. Clemson, who came in at number 4, they're 2-3. They're irrelevant. You have Notre Dame right now that's, 2-2 or 3-2 or something like that for some reason, but they've had two good losses. You have an Arizona State team that's starting to climb back into the rankings. South Carolina, who came in at 13th, is sitting at 3-2 and not looking good. Florida, who started off 15th, just got a marquee win, who's sitting at 2-5 or 2-3. SMU, who looks god awful at times, although they did beat the piss out of Syracuse. And you have a Texas A&M team that started 19th. They're beating the piss out of everybody. Indiana's doing the same thing. Iowa State just lost. Boise State looks god awful. So this is the preseason top 25 is irrelevant at this point. There's no reason to have it in there. No reason. Especially when it comes to where the SEC is at.
Yeah. Who you got for Heisman?
Right now on the top of my list, it's between Ahmad Hardy and Fernando Mendoza.
Gotcha. You saw UCLA beat what's her name?
Penn State?
No, Penn State, yeah.
Did you ask me, did I see it?
Good game. Yeah, no, I said that was a good game.
I thought that was the question you were asking me earlier, though, about James Franklin.
That was, but then I realized you were talking about that.
Yes. Penn State got their ass whipped.
Oh, yeah. You think the Red River, you think it's going to be a good rivalry? Or you think John Mateer is going to lead them to, like... John
Mateer's not playing next week.
Or is it?
No. John Mateer's not healthy.
Huh.
So it's Mike Hawkins Jr. next week. We'll get into Mike Hawkins Jr., who went 14-24, $162 and 3 scores. I thought overall he didn't do horrible, but it's Kent State. You're not really going to get a good look at the end of the day when we talk about Kent State.
Yeah.
It also helps whenever you get a short field too. Go ahead.
You think about Gunnar Stockton? Kentucky today.
Oh, Gunnar Stockton was a freaking dog today. You want to talk about a comeback game? You talk about 3 total touchdowns today. I mean, apart from the 1 interception that he threw early in the first half, I mean, I thought he was pretty much flawless. I thought Georgia as a whole was flawless. And they kept the football, too. They dominated time of possession. Had it for 33 minutes. And goes on drives of 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes.
For sure.
Things like that. I mean, that's what you want.
Yeah, game of possession, really big, close scores. What about that Michigan game with Bryce Underwood?
Bryce looked good. Offensive line looked dog water.
Yeah. That's true.
But, I mean, Bryce wasn't even the main story, in my opinion. All the talk needs to go to Justice Haynes, who might have just put himself in the Doak Walker Award conversation.
Yeah. Who you got for the Jim Thorpe Award this year?
Might be Malik Muhammad from Texas. Why? Either him or either AJ Halsey or who's the other kid that's on the opposite side of DJ Pickett?
I can't think of that name.
It's either him, Michael Taft, or Caleb Downs. Or Mansour Delane is what I'm thinking of. It's either Caleb Downs or Mansour Delane.
true. I think Caleb Downs is one of the best defensive backs in the country right now.
He's not one of. He is the best defensive player in the country.
Yeah. I think what's his name? DJ Pickett's gonna make a huge jump from year 1 to year 2 next year, or like a way more improvement of how good he is.
DJ, yeah, I mean, he's getting picked on a lot because he's a freshman. And to be fair, Ole Miss did a good job of doing that as well.
Yeah. I think LSU's defense showed us how legit they are, but our offense is just, they can't get us going. When you have your defense staying on the field for most of the game, it puts your defense like in a struggle, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Best case scenario for LSU is, they go out and show if Beltmire looks somewhat healthy and they show some glimpses of what he was last year. I think they got a good chance of winning a lot of games here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see. You got a lot to prove, though. Appreciate the call, Grant. Got another call coming in.
Take care.
Hey, babe.
Hey, babe.
I love you. You all right? You've got about 55 people watching the show.
I'll talk to you later.
All right, babe. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
843-350-2534, 843-350-2534 if you want to get involved in the show. All right, let's get into the complete breakdown, and we have no time to waste. I need you to do me a favor. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we post a new video here on SEC Live at the Voice of College Football. Make sure you're following us on Twitter as well, at Lucas Hill SEC. Follow me on the socials wherever you get your podcast. Let's get into the games. Starting off, biggest upset of the week, Florida, with Texas coming into Gainesville. A lot of questions that Texas has to answer. Starting SEC play, 3 straight non-conference games. Everybody was expecting this one between Florida and Texas. And overall, man, I thought it was a really, really good game. From start to finish, it was a good game. But you know what Texas's biggest problem is? They turn the freaking football over. And you went away from the run game. You know why you went away from it? Because you couldn't establish it. Because you couldn't beat interior-wise. You were 3rd of 11. 3 of 11 on 3rd down. And Jaden Ball had a freaking field day on you. These were the first several drives for Florida. 13 plays, 652, touchdown. 10 plays, 64 yards, field goal. You know what the first 2 drives were for Florida? Something that they had struggled with at the start of the season was that you would have these great drives that Florida would have, but you could not sustain them. You would flame out and you would have to settle to either punt or you would have to try and kick for 3. First drive, though, you were able to handle business. You get a field goal after you get inside the red zone. You're not really able to do much because you kind of went away from running the football. Guys, Dallas Wilson, too, is a freaking dog. You forced Texas to punt the football and go their first 2 drives. They had 13 plays for 43 yards. But Texas would take advantage of it because Florida driving down the field, about to go up maybe at least 13-0. Hayden Hansen fumbles the football, and Anthony Hill picks it up. It leads to a 4-play, 45-yard touchdown. Florida responds, though, with a 10-play, 77-yard drive. They take almost 5 minutes off the clock, and Dallas Wilson has another big touchdown. Guys, it was the Dallas Wilson show this entire night. You go 3 and out the next 2 drives, then they punt the football. Actually, I take that back. Taylor Spirito gets a blocked punt, and it ends up in a safety for Florida. And guess what? It's 19-7. Who owned the first half? That would be Florida. Because you established the run game, you were able to establish yourself on the line of scrimmage, and you busted Texas right in the freaking mouth. You owned the game from start to finish. You owned the game from start to finish. By the way, guys, if you want to join in the show, the call-in link is in there. I just posted it. Anyways. Starting the third quarter. First 3 drives, not a whole lot going on. Pretty boring third quarter. Florida gets a field goal where you'd start off at your own 15 after a false start. Burnell Brown gets a big 60-yard pass completion. You're all the way on the opposite side of the Texas 25-yard line. Jaden Ball for 4. You'd have a false start. Wouldn't matter. 3rd and 9. Jaden Ball run for 4. Field goal by Trey Smack puts him up by 2 possessions. Guys, I'll be honest with you. Florida had many opportunities to put this thing away early. But here comes the Longhorns driving down the field. They get a touchdown right back after a great throw from Arch Manning to Ryan Wingo right in the middle of that Florida defense, and they get a big score. You get the football out to a lot of your playmakers that you needed to make plays. It's 14-22. Here's the next drive. Wait. This was the story of this Texas defense today. Jaden Ball would run for 4 for a first down, get you to the Florida 36. Guys, a week ago, we were talking about how Florida was 0 for 13 on 3rd down. 0 for 13, and you turn it around, and they go 7 of 14. Jaden Ball would run for 9, and DJ Lagway would throw to Dallas Wilson on the sideline, makes a great catch, tight ropes the sidelines like a freaking magician, 55-yard touchdown. It's 29-14 right before the third quarter ends. That is where Florida won the game, is because they wanted it more when it was all said and done. You get a nice little run from Trey Wisner, and then you back it up all the way. Brandon Baker with a holding penalty. It's 2nd and 20. Arch Manning gets a big 36-yard run. First down. You're all the way right near on the edge of field goal range. And then you have back-to-back. You have 3 completely disastrous plays that occur. 2nd and 9. You're at the Florida 29. You have Nick Brooks, who has a false start. Back-to-back false starts, by the way. Nick Brooks has another false start, and then Jordan Castile gets a big pick and returns it to the Florida 38. Backbreaker. Backbreaker. That, in my opinion, is where the game was won. That is where you won the football game. It's the bottom line, guys. It's a hard pill to swallow. Especially if you're a Texas fan right now, man. Very, very hard pill that you have to swallow. In fact, back-to-back drives, they were hard pills to swallow. But Texas defense steps up. They force a punt. You're at the Texas 4. You get a big play to DeAndre Moore. Get you to 14, get a first down. Trey Wisner, you go no huddle. You try to hurry it up. Then there's a holding call. And Arch Manning throws a lame duck across the middle of the field, and Devin Moore gets a big interception. But it would go right back to Florida or to Texas because Michael Taft would make a big play, and he'd get an interception himself. It'd be back-to-back 3-and-outs. Texas would score to make it a one-possession game. Then you'd have an opportunity to get back on the field. He would get some. But last play, they try to clock it. George Gums gets a big sack. Too little, too late. Florida gets a big win. You know what Florida did? They outgained in Texas by over 100 yards on the ground. Jaden Baugh, 27 carries, 107 yards. Dallas Wilson with 6 catches for 111. They ran for 52. Texas ran for 52 yards. Not by one player, total. You ran for 52 freaking yards. It's a joke, man. I mean, just a legit joke. It's ridiculous, man. Fact that you thought that you could go into a game like that and just waltz on into Ben Hill and think that you could essentially try and just walk your way in there and pull out a victory, I was wrong. Guys, this was just a wild day as a whole in college football. It's the bottom line. There's no other way to describe it other than that. But right now, this is Texas football at its finest. Is that this has been Texas football for the last 5-10 years. Dating all the way back to when, what's his name, first said, "We're back." Sam Ehlinger. They'll say, "We're back." And then they'll spend a lot of money in the portal. They'll have a lot of starters come back. And then they disappoint you the very next week. This is Texas, man. They'll disappoint you 1 year after all these high expectations. Number 1 team in the nation, expected to go back to the college football playoff, and you piss down your leg. Because right now, your quarterback play is really bad. Your play calling is really bad. Most of it is not all Arch's fault. I thought Arch, for the most part, had a decent game up until he had the 2 interceptions. He was playing pretty decent football. I don't think that Steve Sarkisian and company mixed the play calling up, though, which really, in my opinion, could have helped him a lot more compared to what you saw in reality. It's the bottom line, guys. But I think Texas, again, needs to have a heart-to-heart when it comes to where you are as a program. And really, I don't know what I could say to those that are in that locker room. Number one is that who do you have as your leader in the running back room? Who offensive line-wise is stepping up? We thought there was going to be a lot of bag seasons so far this season. So far, I haven't really seen much of a you have no identity up front. It's bottom line, man. And there is no one else to blame but Steve Sarkisian for where you are right now. I don't think you came in prepared at all this season. At all. All right. Florida, massive win. 21. DJ Lagway, signs and signs and signs of improvement. Best game of the season. Man, you got a lot to improve. All right, let me take a real quick break. We'll be right back in just a minute.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
All right. Moving on to our next game, Oklahoma, Kent State. Michael Hawkins Jr.'s first game in the new Ben Arbuckle offense. Look, man, it's Ben Arbuckle, and it's Kent State. To be honest with you, I wasn't expecting anything more or anything less. Do I think he did well? I mean, yeah. Your first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possessions of the game ended up in scores. And you didn't really show your cards. It was a mostly run first type of game. And I don't think I expected anything more than that. You know, Oklahoma gets a fumble return for a touchdown. Micah, for the most part, had a pretty good game. And I think that is the most important part of this football game. You know, I thought he wasn't the most consistent quarterback today, knowing that what he played. But he obviously showed that he can function well in this Ben Arbuckle system. I mean, you put up 37. Was it impressive against Kent State? No. Did you just barely miss out on the cover? Yes. I'm sure a lot of people that actually bet on that game is funny. If you bet plus 44.5 and you got it, congratulations. Because that is impressive. But does it cause something for concern going into next week against Red River? I don't know, man. I mean, it's hard to say no because you scored on just about every single drive that you had except for, I think, one. Yeah, you only had to punt twice, 3 times actually, and the game was out of reach. So I would not really worry much about what Michael Hawkins Jr. is going to bring next week in Red River. Do I think that he has a lot to clean up? Yes, I think he needs to develop that relationship with his receivers, continue to get on the same path when it comes to where you are at the end of the day. But still, a lot of good flashes that we saw from today. Georgia, Kentucky. Dude, Georgia came out swinging, and they owned the game. Chauncey Bowen's averaging 4.7 yards a carry. Gunnar Stockton goes for 3 total touchdowns and over 230 yards of offense. 35-14 is the final. Dude, how about Georgia? 1 week after a rough loss, you came back and pretty much handled your business like you should have. Do I think the turnovers hurt you early on? Yeah. You let Kentucky around, but it's Kentucky. You know, I'm not really worried about that sort of thing because it's Kentucky. You know, you had a turnover on downs early on 4th and 1 from the 11 when you could have made it a bigger margin of victory. You got Ryan Puglisi, an early start for what could be what I believe could be the future of that program right there. And Puglisi, I think a guy that can really do some damage with his arm, has a big future ahead of him taking over for Gunnar Stockton in the next year or two. Mississippi State and Texas A&M. Guys, I thought this one was going to be the game of the week. And early on, it pretty much looked like it, but it was sloppy. It was a very sloppy game. And we can look at the final stats. Oh, Texas A&M, 479 yards of offense. Oh, they dominated. Guys, early on in this football game, it was bad. It was really hard to watch. And I thought early on, Mississippi State took the air out of Texas A&M early on. They go on a 15-play drive where you go just about the length of the field, where you start off at your own 11-yard line, you go 15 plays, and you mix it up well. You had a really effective drive, your first drive of the game, and that was your only effective drive that you had. Devon Booth would have a couple big runs. Fluff Bothwell would put you in good positions. You would convert a 3rd and 1. You would get big plays. You convert you would get all the way down to the 1-yard line, and you have a false start that backs you up all the way to the 5, and you're forced to go to the air. So that 3 turns into 6. So what could have been 6 has to turn into 3. And it's bad, man. The holding penalties that Texas A&M had were bad. It's really, really bad. So you better fix those offensively. Then Texas A&M goes down the field. 17 plays, 82 yards. You take them 8:25 off the clock. Texas A&M is about to get off this was a play that I think could have, or a drive that really should not have existed. The turnover on downs at the goal line stand. It's 3rd and 6. Marcel Reed's forced out, and Tyler Lockhart just gets a little bit of contact with Marcel Reed. Reed sells it. It ends up being 15+ and a first down. So you piss down your leg on that one. But they get a first down the very next one. 1st and goal from the 2. Le'Veon Moss can't run it in. 2nd and goal. Le'Veon Moss can't push it in. Ruben Owens can't push it in. They thought he got it, but obviously when they looked at the replay, they said he was down. So they end up overruling this one. Next play, Coleman Hustler's defense came to play. Goal line stand. Doesn't matter because it turns into a 3 and out. Then you have a Marcel Reed interception that's returned, that's picked off by Kelly Jones. What does Mississippi State do? Well, they start to drive down the field. You get a roughing the passer on DJ Hicks. You get a big play by Devon Booth. And you have an interception by, I think, Cassius Howell. Texas A&M takes that. They get a big shot all the way to KC Concepcion. KC Concepcion had a big game. And in my opinion right now, the best receiver in the SEC, there's a mix of them. And there's a lot of them. But right now, in my opinion, KC Concepcion is one of the best. When you talk about a guy that's averaging 17 yards a catch, that's coming off of a game where he absolutely has popped off, helping one of the best offenses in college football absolutely dominate, then you get big plays like that. KC Concepcion is a dog. He might be freak of the week whenever we break it all down next week, because that's a hell of a effort play. You get a 3 and out for Mississippi State, and then you go into the half. You have a false start that whenever you're about to go down the field and score with about $1:23 left. Then the first couple of drives, it's boring. You have a couple 3 and outs. Mississippi State has to punt. Texas A&M has to punt after driving all the way down right near field goal range, and you got to play field position. Texas A&M would drive right back. Ruben Owens, you go to Mario Craver and get a big play. 3rd and goal. KC Concepcion over the middle with a big touchdown. Mississippi State has to punt, and then the rest of the game just belonged to Texas A&M at this point. Mississippi State fumbles the football again. What was one of our talking points whenever we previewed this game on Friday? We said if Mississippi State was going to win the football game, they had to avoid the turnover, and they had to win the turnover rate. You had an interception that led to a touchdown, and then you had a fumble that led to a touchdown. Not that it would have mattered because you still would have lost the game, but it would have looked closer on paper but it looks closer when you look at, oh, shoot, you had this that led to this, you had that led to that, than it does when it comes to the final scoreboard. It was a lot closer. Blake Shapen fumbles, and Dalton Brooks gets the big recovery. They go 24 yards, and Mario Craver has a touchdown. Pretty much the ball game right there. I won't bore you with the rest of it all. What did Texas A&M do? They owned the time of possession. 38 minutes holding on to the football, but they had 9 penalties. And I believe they had 6 in the first half, majority of which were holding calls. KC Concepcion, have a day. Mario Craver welcomed into the end zone, Capardi. Our prayers go out to Fluff Bothwell and what he's dealing with. You hate to see a player have to go through that sort of injury, man. That sucks. And I feel really, really, really terrible for Fluff and for what happened at the end of it. No player should have to deal with that and have a game end like that. So our prayers go out to them. I thought Mississippi State as a whole, though, guys, they turned the football over, and it cost them. Now, you still have an opportunity to play spoiler. I don't know what's going to happen with Florida. I don't know what's going to happen with Texas, Arkansas. Guys, if you can go 2-1 in that stretch and make a bowl game and get bowl eligible, that'll be a successful season. It's getting to 6 wins. That's the bottom line. So, again, defensively, I thought they held their own against a very good offense. And they forced a lot of issues. Kelly Jones had a really good play. Really, really good play. But the first 2 games for Mississippi State all game, they were 1 of 10 on third down. They lost third down. They couldn't get it going. That's the bottom line. And you couldn't stay on the field offensively because you kept shooting yourself in the foot. You averaged 2.5 yards a rush. I mean, you got to get to a point where Mississippi State is looking at themselves and saying, man, we kept it close for how we played. We're lucky it wasn't more than it was just 31-9 because we were able to keep it close for about 3 quarters. So with that, I commend Jeff Levy's team, but they still got a lot of work to do. Last SEC game of the night, Alabama and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt on the road, heading on out to Tuscaloosa. 2 freaks of the week and 2 players that I think could be SEC player of the week as a whole. And both on the offensive side of the ball. Shout out Jam Miller and Ty Simpson. Let's talk about them. All right. I think once this was the game where you needed Ryan Williams most. And this was a game where I thought Ryan Williams was going to make the biggest impact. And for the most part, he did. Vanderbilt starts the game off just the way they want. First play, first drive of the game, defensively, you get a big interception in the red zone. Intercepted by Martell Height. Vanderbilt goes right down the field. 6 plays, 93 yards, 65-yard touchdown run from Cedric Alexander. Defensively, though, hold their own once Alabama's about to knock on the door, getting back into the red zone again. And Connor Talteam shanks a 47-yarder. Here comes Diego Pavia and company. They get all the way down inside the red zone. They're about to go in and score. Tim Justin Jefferson gets a big forced fumble. Tim Keenan recovers. Bama goes down the field and they score. But then here comes Vandy. Back-to-back punts. One's barely more of a 4-and-out because you get one big play to Junior Sherrill and then you go 3-and-out the rest of the way. Bama goes 3-and-out after a sack by Joshua Singh. Pavia gets it to Cedric Alexander for a touchdown. Bama comes right back and just unloads it. You know what you would go to? You'd go to your playmakers. 13-yarder to Isaiah Horton, 10-yarder to Ryan Williams, 17-yarder to Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard to the 13, and a beautiful throw to Jeremy Bernard in the corner of the end zone. Now you're tied at 14. That would be the start of a 23-point barrage for Alabama. That effectively ended the ball game. Vandy, 10 points that they gave up off of 2 turnovers. Really 17. They gave up 17 points off of turnovers. One, they're about to go get into the red zone. Another one was whenever they were in the red zone. So you have what could have been at least 6 points on the board for Vanderbilt. Turns into 17 for Alabama. And Alabama, by the way, let me tell you what they did. Ty Simpson, 23 of 31 for 340. Jam Miller, $136. Bama held the football for almost 40 minutes. And I thought they were going to hold it for 40 minutes throughout the rest of that football game. Vandy came in and busted them in the mouth. You absolutely smoked them. Smoked this Vandy team. And I'm not saying that Vandy is bad, guys, but Alabama took advantage of their mistakes. Alabama, SEC championship, national champion, still there. Right now, though, Bama is back in the title hunt for the SEC. They're back in the driver's seat. Guys, we still got a long season ahead of us. But right now, man, I'm excited for power rankings that are coming out at some point. I'm going to go ahead and make them, and I will release them tomorrow morning. Excited to get on with that, guys. Excited to break it all down with you. Thank you guys so much for hopping on Inside the Final Whistle once again with us. Another great weekend of college football. Next week, guys, we have so much that we have to break down. That is going to be incredible. Next week is going to be awesome in college football around the SEC. It's going to be incredible around college football as a whole. Let me tell you what the SEC, we got. Alabama going to Faru to go play Ahmad Hardy in Missouri. Can you shut them down? River, Oklahoma, and Texas. How does Texas respond? Georgia going to the Plains. Florida going to Kyle Field. South Carolina going to LSU on Saturday night. Going to be a fun weekend in the SEC. Ohio State going to Illinois. Can't forget about that. College game day could be heading out to Austin for Indiana and Oregon. That'll be a pretty interesting game there, one that you may not want to miss. So we still got a lot to break down, a lot that we need to cover, a lot that we're excited to bring you over the next couple weeks in the SEC. Wild week 3 or a wild week 7 is upon us. Once we conclude our show today, we will see you all this upcoming week for all of our previews, predictions. As many of you guys are entering fall break, Make sure y'all do us a favor. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Turn on that bell notification down below so that you are notified every time we go live here on SEC Live at the Voice of College Football. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at THEVOCFB. Follow me on Twitter at LLucasHillSEC. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay blessed. Don't ever stress. Y'all have a great rest of the week.